Kind of shape you in, heading towards Glasgow in terms of form?
Form-wise, October we showed signs of what we're about. Some real positives in terms of our game, both sides of the ball. Obviously, there's no getting away from the fact, and it's been well documented, that our performance against Edinburgh was unsatisfactory. We've addressed that as a group, and we're really looking forward to this block of games, recognising that we're against top two in our conference, and there's no better time than for us to bring a much more complete level of performance, and it's going to require that to get the results.
Is it a good time to be playing Glasgow, during the international period?
Yeah, obviously both sides have got a number of players away, but there's still a lot of quality going to be on the field. Be interesting to see what Scotland release as well, playing Saturday and not having an international in the following week, so there may well be players who'll be available on Sunday who could be involved with the Scottish team during the week. For us, we're still strong in many areas. We've quality players, so our attention's got to be what it is to be an Osprey, what it is to perform as an Osprey, and as a collective what that actually means to us, and show that to our supporter base.
You had 3 players injured. Apparently some of them with quite nasty bumps on Friday. Could you sort of tell us about the injuries, what exactly happened to them?
Well, obviously Tom, we work in reverse, Tom's damaged his arm, and there's no denying it looks as if it's the timing of it's particularly traumatic for the young man, because he was hitting a bit of form for us and would have come into consideration for this weekend. Kieran, who did really well against Wasps, and again was showing elements of his game on Friday night against Cardiff, he's damaged an ankle. That's under review at the moment in terms of the diagnosis of that and prognosis going forward. And obviously Rory damaged his shoulder, so they're certainly mid to long term, with the potential that we may not see those boys to the back end of the season, if at all.
With Tom and Kieran Williams, the fears on the night that they actually suffered broken arm and leg, is that?
Yeah, certainly with Tom that's the case. With Kieran, I don't think it was a break. It was dislocation going back in, so it's still traumatic injuries.
And Rory, a dislocated shoulder, was it? Yeah.
So being specific on them, you're not expecting to see these guys until the end of the season?
If that.
So they could be out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, potentially.
That's very
it's a big blow.
nasty for young kids, isn't it?
It's a big blow to the people as individuals, the players as individuals. It's also a big blow to us as a group.
I didn't see the game myself. Did the surface have anything to do with it?
They're traumatic injuries in a contact sport. I think it would be wrong to suggest that there was anything to do with the surface.
What sort of work do you have to put in as an organisation to support those players on their rehab and so on for the best part of the season?
Well, if you look at those 3, along with Keelan Giles and Dan Baker, we have been hit, and all squads are. But it's making sure those boys still feel very much part of the group, that we connect with them as people. We've got a tremendous medical team here, rehab team here. So go through the right channels, get those boys back up and running, and try and bring them back bigger, faster and stronger. And that's the mentality and positivity that you have to have. I think very few players in their professional career, or indeed playing rugby, can go through a career without expecting some form of injury or time out from the game. And it's how you deal with that, and you train your mind, you become a better student of the game, you work on those aspects of your physicality, your gym work that maybe need addressed, or maybe other niggles. It gives those times to settle as well, so you come back in your best possible physical state and still be connected with the game. You can definitely train the mind to help your skill level stay where it needs to be.
And because 2 of your younger centres, right, but quite a heavy workload on the more established ones for the rest of the season, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Obviously, our playing base, our squad is stretched due to the injuries. There's less rotation. You know, and Bradley Davis came on and played for the best part of 70 minutes on Friday evening, and you know, at that stage you're looking at making sure he gets off the field without picking something up, and really putting ourselves in a very difficult position.
How much do you feel for Rory? You know, he's just had a shoulder problem, hasn't he? Just returned, a young lock. How much do you feel for him?
Desperately so, but also you got to move on from it fairly quickly. You can't wallow in self-pity, and Rory's here, he's very much part of the group today, he's engaging in meetings, you know, so he can be working behind the scenes, which benefits us but also helps keep him engaged and feels as if he's adding value to what we are as a squad.
You've been impressed by him, you know, another little action that he's had, but have you been impressed by him, you know, in training? And
yeah, his knowledge and his understanding and where he was getting to. He's hugely frustrated with the injury, you know, he said that himself, as all the boys are, but you know, as I've said before, they're fine young men here, and in these situations your balance as a person is particularly tested, and for me you must maintain that to be positive in life and to keep progressing.
Anyone expected back from injury this weekend, or any chance of getting anyone released from the Wales squad?
Look, we're not working under those parameters at the moment. We're working with the players that we have. We've had our first session today. It's very much about learning going into this week. We've got a little bit longer than normal with it being a Sunday kick-off, albeit at a really appetising time, 1 o'clock. So hopefully we'll get a good crowd to the game, and you know, we can put a performance on in front of our own supporter base.
And learning from the Glasgow away fixture, where they ran in a few tries in the end.
Yeah, like, you know, I suppose if you look at Australia v England at the weekend, it wasn't a 37-10 performance other than the scoreline, and that sounds a bit of an oxymoron, no doubt about that. But when we played up there, we were well in the hunt. There were defining moments in the game where a bounce of a ball, it ended up being a 14-point swing, and we saw that again at the weekend. It's how we live those moments and the pressure we can apply on them. They're a good side, you know, they're 8 from 8, you know, albeit they've been beaten in Europe, and in the Pro14 they're the form team, and you back that up with playing Munster the following week.
when is Hannah Goodson due back and Jeff Hassler, these guys due back imminently?
They've had some work with us over the last 10 days, so we'll see how they shape up, but we're hopeful that we'll see them by the end of this month.
There's no chance for this weekend?
I'm not saying that. We'll see how they progress after. You know, you're looking at their workloads, you're looking at, there's a definitive timeline, precise timeline in terms of the markers that they have to reach. I'm not in a position to say whether they're going to reach those or not, but certainly if they do, you'd like to think they'll be there or thereabouts.
How important is it, Alan, you know, that you actually start winning consistently and climbing the table?
Yeah, you know, for all we've had some decent performances, we know that we're in a position now where we need to get wins on the board. I've said before that 2 wins can shift you up the ladder to a position where you can strike for that 3rd place. In our conference, you look at Glasgow and Munster, they're almost on their own at the moment. We've got to bridge the gap between where we are now and chunk each game to make sure that we're getting points out of a game, and obviously at home make sure that we're winning games.
Which youngsters impressed you during the Anglo-Welsh Cup?
Very impressed with young Kieran Williams. I thought against Was, he gave us gain line every time. You look at Ruben and how he's benefited, you know, closer to home for me. You know, Gar Thomas, Ethan Phillips around the field. James Ratty, even 19-year-old. You know, I thought he had a big second half for us. at the weekend, and obviously their learnings and how they respond maybe to some mistakes in the game, but then how they came out in the second half and corrected those mistakes, and those are the progressions that you're looking for. It's everybody's after perfection, but the younger you are, the more likely the pressure in those environments is going to test you. It's how you respond when you've made a mistake, and have you got the character for the position, the character for the game, the character to be a professional rugby player. People like Ronan Jenkins, Rodri Jones against Gethin Jenkins, I thought he showed real solid display in that first half, and he put Gethin under a little bit of pressure at times, so it was a good test for both of them.
With Rodri, scrummaging, as people have said, it's been an issue for him over the years. Have you seen improvements in that area? Because around the field he's terrific, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got tremendous assets around the field. It's probably better if you ask him that question, but for me, he's a really good student. He's bought in well. He's making progress. If you look at his performance on Friday night, he didn't lay out. I thought he took a step forward on where he was the week before against a fairly heavy Wasp pack. But he didn't lay out. He kept his shape. There are aspects he knows he still needs to focus on, and he's come to me regarding those already, but he's making good progress, and we put a timeline on hitting a few markers whereby he's in the position where he's really testing whether or not he should be in the match day 23.
You expecting him to eventually get back in the Wales mix?
I think it's steady progress. Thought that Alex Jeffries did well also, and you can get bolters from all over the place. If you're consistently nailing your detail in the set piece, and then you can bring what Rodri has around the field, anything can happen. But it's just getting that consistency of form and consistency of dominance, basically, because as a tight head, that's what you're after. There's no point in sitting back and over processing things at times. You've got to get out and attack.
How did you feel the Ospreys lads went in the international on Saturday? The likes of Nicky Smith, Sam Cross.
Well, I suppose if you look at it on the whole, it was a disjointed game from a Welsh point of view, and maybe they got dragged into an arm wrestle that benefited the opposition more than themselves. Nicky, when he came on against Australia, was and Sam, but Nicky, particularly against Australia, I thought was very good in the scrum. He kept his shape and he was aggressive and asked questions. At the weekend, I thought the scrum struggled at times. There's no denying that, whether through interpretation of what the Georgians were doing or an inability to deal with that. But it's never just one person, as it isn't when you're going well. It's a combination of the eight. I'm sure Wales will be disappointed with it, and there's no better test for them than this weekend.
What are you expecting of Justin Tipuric if he returns this weekend?
Just his energy, his experience, his finesse. He's a world-class player, and he's got a touch that can break defences, but he's a real pain in the butt to the opposition when at the breakdown. He's got that ability to cause you problems at the breakdown, have a tremendous engine around the field, and yet have a skill set as good as some backs, if not many backs.